Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now, guys? It's just the Champions League, and honestly, everyone's throwing the towel in as if the thing is done already. I remember when the group stage was drawn, we seen the last game of the group is against Feyenoord, and everyone was thinking it's going to come down to the last game of the group. Everyone was looking at the group of Feyenoord, Lazio and Atletico Madrid thinking, we've got to do as well as we can at home and we have to get something on the road if we're going to think about progressing from this group. The group was about dreaming. The group was about discovering our level we would be under Brendan Rodgers. How well would the transfers do? And I know our expectations were probably a little bit higher because this squad is in its third year of being a squad, from Ange for the last two seasons. But with Brendan coming in this year, it's the first year of his tenure. So there's a wee bit of a rediscovery, a wee bit of a reimagining happening with the squad, routes to goal, style of play, all that good stuff. Now, as we look at the last two games of the group, we're about to go away to Lazio, the last away game of the group. We knew we wouldn't get anything away in Madrid when the draw was done. We hoped we could get something away at Rotterdam, but I think a lot of fans thought Rotterdam would have been a harder away venue than Rome, where we've previously been and done well before. And as you've seen from the game in Rotterdam, we didn't get the points, but we bloody well should have. And as the group's been on this channel, we've been talking about we're going to have to be able to do this the hard way. We're going to have to get our hands dirty and get the points no matter what it takes. And with the last two group games, I don't think the standing of the group is any different to the way you would really have expected it when the draw was made. We need to beat Lazio away. We need Atletico Madrid to do a number on Feyenoord on match day 5 as well. And then it's going to come down to the last game of the group. If we beat Feyenoord, we finish third. And we are going to have to do it the hard way. Of course, we're still missing Rio Hatate, but Palma is going to be yellow card suspended for this game, and Daisen Maeda is suspended, but is also injured and not going to feature in any of these matches. So in the video today, we're going to be looking at what squad do we have available and how do we beat Lazio in the Olimpico. At any point in the video today, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We are pushing for 10,000 subscribers and we cannot do that without your support, guys. So if you enjoy the content here, hit the subscribe button for more, hit the like button and get into the comment section and let me know, can we do it in the Olimpico away to Lazio? Can we keep the dream of the last game of the group, us versus Feyenoord, it being mano a mano for who qualifies into Europe into, past Christmas? And let's just get stuck straight into it. Now, these are the lineups for both teams from match day 2 in the reverse fixture where unfortunately we did lose the game 2-1. There's a few lessons, there's a few things in this game that will definitely translate into match day 5, the second last group game that we've got coming up. Lazio will play with the same starting 11, they're going to play the same tactics, and what the main difference was for Lazio and for Atletico Madrid at Celtic Park is they used their bench to increase the speed of their players, increase the tempo of the match as the game wore on, and ultimately for both teams that's where they found a bit of joy. What we've seen from this front three was they like to stick onto the back four. They give a lot of room in midfield for our midfield and for theirs to get into different pockets of space to pick up the ball and find either, for Lazio, they like to find their fullbacks as wide options or be able to play into a front line of 3 players. And even just that straight mano-a-mano Rodgers versus Sarri fight, I felt that we went toe-to-toe with Lazio, and man for man, we were as good as them. Luis Alberto was a touch of class, and obviously Ciro Immobile, when he's at home, is going to be a deadly striker that we're going to need to make sure we take care of. But we need to score goals, we need to take the game by the scruff of the neck, hopefully keep 11 players on the pitch and find a route to goal. And with no Palma, with no Maeda, with no Hatate, our routes to goal, our options for how do we actually create an attack in this game are somewhat limited. If we were to look at what is probably the expected predicted 11, just based on if we keep the same shape and you look at the depth chart of who's available, it would probably end up being a front three of Kyogo, Forrest and Yang, with a midfield of Turnbull, O'Reilly and McGregor. The back four, of course, picks itself at this stage in the Champions League. But I think if we did start that front three, we're probably admitting defeat before the game goes, because Forrest hasn't got the pace, the speed to go up and down the Olimpico for 90 minutes, for 70 minutes at a significant level for me. And Yang has been effective and his pace could be very useful against their fullbacks, and he looked really good in this game when he did start, and it looked like the pace of Daisen and Yang was a real avenue we were trying to exploit with Lazio getting in behind the fullbacks and creating space with 3 attackers, hopefully against 2 retreating centre-backs, maybe a midfielder at a push. And it did give us some good space, some good options, and I think that idea is something we want to hang on to, although we're not going to have Daisen Maeda, and Yang is going to be put into a much more kind of prominent role if this was the shape, the way we were to lay out. For me, I would like to see the manager totally mix it up, because we need to be able to evolve through the 90 minutes. If we do keep the game tight for the opening section, maybe there's a goal or two in it, we don't want the game to run away from us, so that by the end of the match, if we are having to make some subs and change the game or whatever, the game is beyond us. We want to be able to consolidate the match, or if there's one goal in it, be able to change to maybe create an opportunity to make that one goal happen. We want to keep it as fine margin as possible. And we can discuss the midfield. So Turnbull, I actually think he's got a great shot to play this game here. I think the synergy between him and O'Reilly that we've seen against Aberdeen has been blossoming through the season. So I think there's a good shout for Turnbull to play here. But Brendan Rodgers did play Paulo Bernardo against Atletico Madrid and said he did that because he wanted a tackler. So if he does fancy Bernardo as a tackling, defensive, progressive midfielder, then yeah, I could see this being a midfield three he could kind of opt for, and it would be maybe a bit more, like rugged, a midfield three, go man for man against Lazio, don't give them any yards, win the ball off them, play it tidy. And again, Bernardo, when he did come on against Lazio, he did look kind of handy, he did look kind of okay, so wouldn't totally rule it out. And personally, I just think home is a little bit green behind the gills for this game. It's maybe came a little bit too soon for him. I thought it was great, he did get the chance against Feyenoord, and I don't really hold the way that game went against him, to be quite honest with you, but I think that did show that this is maybe a stage too early. It was maybe a bit too early for this stage. But with Tomoki Iwata coming onto the pitch at the weekend to replace Callum McGregor as the deep line six, the most defensive of defensive midfielders, and surely the manager would look at Iwata as a tackling midfielder and hopefully maybe prefer him to Paulo Bernardo. Now, Paulo Bernardo is significantly taller and maybe a bit more, got a bigger frame than Iwata, so maybe the manager prefers that presence from set pieces and such, but in open play, I think Iwata is clearly the best defensive ball-winning midfielder that we have. Now, I would like to think that Forest doesn't start this match, and instead we start O. And I think if you wanted to keep Yang on the pitch, you could definitely make this happen with a double sitting midfield like we've seen Rodgers do with Holm and O'Reilly, McGregor and O'Reilly as well in some games. But we could have both of them guys sitting. Johnson being a bit more conservative in a three here. Taylor does his thing kind of tucking in. So we've got a nice kind of defensive block there. Two banks of three that deal with their front three and maybe a midfield runner and maybe a wide player. So the ball's in this pocket. You've got a winger and a fullback to contend with. You'll have your Ciro Immobile. You'll have your wide forward. You'll maybe get a midfielder in support, and you'll have a midfielder somewhere else in the picture. So like if this is the progressive attacking shape from Lazio, a front three, the fullback, and then a little bit of midfield support, then I do feel that we've got the numbers and the quality to at least still keep it a man-for-man encounter and have a forward line presence that would still give them something to think about and give us teeth on the counter-attack. But for me, the way we beat Lazio in this game is we need to start the game 5-3-2 or 3-5-2, however you want to think of it as. Maybe it could be Iwata that would come in here as the right centre-back. It could be Alistair Johnson, and then maybe you play Ralston at right wing-back. But I think ultimately he would probably go for filling in Phillips. But by starting O, who's in great form, and of course a bit more of a stereotypical target man to hold it up, and having Kyogo just playing off of him, that's a great counter-attack situation for us to have to utilise Kyogo and O from the beginning, our two primary goal scorers. Maybe we can get a bit of width from the fullbacks. I wouldn't really count my chickens on it, but I would mainly see our main route to go coming from midfield, being able to unleash O'Reilly, Turnbull in particular, into the forward ranks. This is something that could give us a real solid start to the game with still a clear route to go, and if we're able to build up possession with the likes of McGregor and the back line the way we can, then Alistair Johnson is a very capable wide attacking fullback, and Taylor is maybe not as formidable out wide, but again, we could definitely play to the right strengths and make sure that we get the ball into the positions we want to be able to get shots on goal from edge of the box like we can with Turnbull and O'Reilly. And we've got good link-up play option as well. Now, this maybe does leave us a bit light in attack, but I think as the game starts, you do want to measure your game and come into it. And still having somebody like Yang, still having Forrest, still having Bernardo, Holm, Iwata, a lot of these options on the bench I think gives us more options as the game progresses, rather than only having O on the bench. If we started Yang and Forrest, then what wingers can we change the game up with later on? All we can do is really constrict later on in the game and go into this kind of shape. Whereas we start in this formation with a bit of an attacking onus, and if we want to start with a bit more of an attacking onus, again, we could put Yang back into this picture. On the right-hand side, we've seen Daizen Maeda do this kind of job. I don't think for Rodgers, I think it was last season for Ange, but we could do this kind of thing. If we wanted to keep it a bit more attacking and give a real outlet on the right-hand side here, Johnson can still support. And it can be kind of like an offset 4-3-3, but you don't want Kyogo out in the left wing. You definitely want him central to be linking up with, the midfield when they get on the ball and to be able to play off potentially O is the target man here. Kind of offset thing, kind of like this, So, yeah. There's a few different options tactically. There's not that much play. You know, we don't have that many options. This is going to be a full 90-minute affair. So I'm thinking start off 3-5-2, 5-3-2, however you want to think of it. It's about developing the game as it goes on and use all 16, 17 players to the best of their ability within the match. We know Lazio are going to keep the tempo going throughout the game, and we can't get caught cold by that. We've seen it against Lazio and Atleti. They've used their bench to such great prominence that Atleti in the second game put Griezmann in midfield to really just OP kill us with that difference in pace and quality from the midfield. You know, the subs they made at Parkhead, bringing Llorente and Riquelme on, capitalised on something that then in the second game they just absolutely killed us with by putting Griezmann in that spot. So Lazio might learn a trick or two from the first game as well. And I think by being a little bit extra conservative, it's definitely not my normal kind of tune that I sing when it comes to Celtic, particularly in Europe. But I think it's definitely the best way to start this game. And by having, like maybe if it is Phillips that was to play, more of those guys on the pitch, if we do get a set piece, you know, we get a corner, we get free kicks, we've got maybe a few more guys with O as well on the pitch. You then maybe get some titans that can go up and get a goal or two from a corner or a direct, you know, from a free kick, that sort of thing. But we need to beat Lazio, guys. It's all or nothing for me. I think we can do it. I really hope that the manager picks an adventurous, exciting team that can go out there to get the 3 points in the Olympico so we can come back for match day 6 at Celtic Park where we can welcome Feyenoord in an all or nothing clash and hopefully ultimately secure European football after Christmas. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. I hope the faith has been raised ever so slightly. It's like I say, I feel like everyone is just throwing the towel in, and that's not the Celtic way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, retweet, and all that good stuff, guys. On screen now is some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hail, hail!